FNA Cycle. We run a restoration and coating shop in Columbia, Missouri. We're a motorcycle shop. We service dirt bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides. We build race engines. We put modern fuel-injected V8s in classic cars. We have a powder coat facility. We also do Cerakote, and we have a hobby shop in the same building where we sell high-end radio-controlled cars, gear, parts, apparel for motorcycles and such. And this is the airplane that was built at our shop, Zenith CH750 STOL with Superduty landing gear. And hopefully we're going to be at Oshkosh next year to reveal this airplane to the public. The plans have been stuck to, you know, from the build, but there's a lot of paint work and such, and Cerakote, and various coatings that have been applied to this. So.
I guess I can have my hands on those anyway, couldn't I? Oh yeah, I thought it was faster.
We have the G3X touch flight display. So this is our system for both experimental light sport type aircraft, all of our home builds. So this gives us all of our primary flight display, synthetic vision, multi-function display. So that allows us to get the items like the maps, the charts, VFR charts there, still get traffic overlays on those, airport information overlays, flight plan, waypoint information. This gives items like frequencies, runway information, weather, charts, IFR charts, safe taxi diagrams, AOPA, the airport facilities directories are also in there, which is a nice use for us to have. We have a weather page. So this is the ADS-B weather information. This gives us your NEXRAD radar, cloud tops, as well as like winds aloft, temperatures aloft, lightning, storm cells, METARs, airmets, SIGMETs, TFRs. A lot of different pieces of information are part of that FISB weather data. Again, terrain page, very similar to what you're used to on like Garmin portable devices. So that gives you your terrain shading, traffic page. We also have SiriusXM capabilities. So if you want SiriusXM music and weather on the flight display, that's a choice there as well. We can control items like the comm radios. So that's a comm radio page. We can go ahead and tune this comm radio like we do a traditional panel mount radio. We can type that in. We can use the find feature on that. Go back to get our main menu all the time. I have split screen, full screen up here. Can do that as well. We also integrate audio panels for COM 1, COM 2, 4-place intercom. Then we also have a transponder page. We can integrate the remote mount transponder there as well. Then that ties in very well to items like the Garmin autopilot. We call that GOC 500X. The Garmin G5s, backup or primary flight instruments for a more budget-conscious airplane. We can utilize the G5s as our primary flight instruments. So a pair of these replaces your entire 6-pack, no vacuum system. Then we'd be able to do a panel mount comm radio, panel mount transponder, and that gives us a more budget-friendly IFR, or even still upgradable like an IFR platform, whether you go with a basic flight display system or the G5s. We can get a lot of value, a lot of building block architecture out of the flight system here, and just be able to tailor it to what the builder wants. So for a new home builder, new Zenith owner, that they just want to build on a budget and start with the basics, a single G5 or a pair of G5s with one of these, this is the Era 760 VFR Navigator, along with a little data link receiver like that GDL. That gives you pretty well everything you need for a basic VFR flyer around your local area, and still gives you a lot of capability and situational awareness with that. If you're going to divide up your build in 25% increments from airframe to engine, electrical, stuff like that, I definitely would leave the electronics to the tail end of the build there. So near definitely the last 50, the later 50, or at least the later third of the project is when you're really thinking about panel electronics. Roger and I communicate quite a bit. You can purchase panel sets through Zenith. We also have many different Garmin dealers that specialize in the experimental market. and they tailor their business to serving experimental home builders in the Garmin dealer network. So we have many of those, but you can purchase the equipment set through Zenith, and Roger consults with me. We actually just had another 750 builder last week. We just got an equipment, a full panel set up for them as well. So that's going to be a full loaded IFR platform that they source through Zenith here. So yeah, we can work with Zenith, work with Roger and myself. He's got a direct line to me, and we work together on making sure Zenith airplanes are spec'd out just right. I'm Brad, who I am the experimental sales manager for Garmin, and you can email me. If you email aviation.sales@garmin.com, that and just say, you know, for experimental, that email is going to come right to me. Or you can contact Roger at Zenith to talk about equipment, and we'll be able to get connected and get that taken care of.
So we always ask that, hey, you can give us a call ahead of time. We can tell you what we do offer. The one thing here that we've been selling a lot of here today, or quoting a lot of, is construction policies. Because what we'll do is we'll offer a policy that's going to protect your aircraft while it's being built. Because if you're building it in your garage, your homeowner's policy is not covering if something were to happen. Your garage were to catch fire, what have you. So we would cover the cost of that aircraft plus your time that you put into it so far. And you can increase it as you add avionics, you know, continue to put money into the aircraft. Once it's ready to fly, then you would have to cancel that policy and take out a actual in-flight policy for the aircraft. And also, people don't think about it, like if you're building it at home, it's not as big a deal. You'll want to cover the cost of the aircraft, but a lot of people are building at airports, so in a hangar, and the airport's going to require you to have liability coverage, even though it's not an aircraft that's ready to fly. Because if something happens, if you cause that fire, they want to make sure you've got liability coverage to cover their structures. To me, it's like, just like when you're going to buy a car, people don't think about it. It's like, you know, when you've got the 18-year-old that wants to go out and buy the Corvette, and then he buys it in shocks, has sticker shock at the insurance rate. You need to do your due diligence as well when you're purchasing any aircraft, whether experimental or not. Check ahead of time. You know, we're happy to run quotes on whatever you think you might be looking at.
Yeah, this is Skyview HDX. So this is Dynon's flagship EFIS display, multifunction. You can do everything on one display. We've got engine monitoring across the bottom, moving map and primary flight instrumentation. We've got our integrated comm radio, transponder with ADS-B out capability. We also have an ADS-B in receiver, full autopilot capability that will couple for an instrument approach down to minimums. You can do all your approach plates, charts, sectionals, everything displayed. So really, you know, a fully integrated cockpit with really high situational awareness for the pilot. So we have a 7-inch display, a 10-inch display, and now we also have a 12-inch display, which isn't here, but it's a much bigger surface area. So if you get the chance to check out the 12-inch, you know, we show it off at Oshkosh and Sun and Fun and all the big shows. So there's a few different options on the level of help that we can offer. On the Dynon side, we've got all the pre-made harnesses, the installation trays. You know, we'll work with you to help you figure out what parts you need for the panel. And then on the advanced side, we've got a few different options. We've got the advanced panel, which is a full concierge boutique panel that's custom made, and we ship it to you ready to go. We've got the bring your own panel, which they'll do all the wiring, all the configuration and everything, and then you bring your own panel and assemble it into the panel. And then we have what's called the ACM Jumpstart. This is we call it the red box, 27 channels of integrated solid-state circuit breakers, built-in A-Ring controller, light controller, flap controller. This really simplifies the wiring of the aircraft, and that allows you to be able to do all of the circuit breakers through the screen. You can see the amp draws and if there's any faults. So these are our Skyview network cables right here. These come anywhere from 6 inches up to 30 feet. Main display harness, transponder harness, the comm radio harness. So we pre-make a lot of these harnesses to make it really easy for the builder to put everything together.
Yeah, my wife built the airplane, and it isn't contributing. A lot of the fellows at the EAA chapter said, you know, yeah, right, Craig's going to build it, and Belle's going to get the credit for it. And they'd come by the hangar, and where's Craig? I don't know, but she was building an airplane, and she built the entire structure, every bit of the structure. She built, and did all of the interior work, and designed the layout for the color scheme and all the different colors, etc., etc. And then she did all of the working on the structure, the painting, you know, as far as, other than actually blowing the paint on myself. I blew the paint on, but she sanded for a week in between coats and a type thing, and I'd spend an hour putting paint on, and then she'd sand the next layer, and all the trim, etc., etc. So she built the airplane. It's her airplane, and she flew. There's about 400 plus hours on the airplane, and of the 400 hours, she's probably got 360 of them. I've got maybe 30-40 hours in the airplane, tweaking things here and there on the engine, but otherwise it's her airplane and she flies it, you know. And yeah, so it's a little novel in that she did everything. You know, it's not like she helped me. I helped her. You know, when she needed an extra hand to hold a piece of sheet metal, I'd go out there and help her. But you know, she was definitely the lead on the thing, and I was definitely the helper. So, well, I've always been interested in experimental. I've worked on a lot of other airplanes myself, and she learned in a Piper Tomahawk, and we had Cherokees, and she liked the low wing design. She loved the Tomahawk for its response, and we were at the Reno Air Races in 2010, and Piper had the Piper Sport there, and it was like $140,000 for the airplane, and she said, I really like that airplane. And I said, well, you can have that airplane, but you got to build it, you know. And so we came back and came up to the factory and saw that this is very, very, very similar airplane to what the Piper Sport was. And she's always been, we built houses, we built all kinds of things together. And so she says, well, I could do that, you know. And so she came up for the rudder kit thing and said, you know, this is a doable thing. And we live on an air park, and so we have a hangar, and I have most of the equipment working on planes anyway. And so she dove in and ordered the kit and put it together. It took her 2 years to do it. A little over 2 years to build the plane. I've been involved literally all my life. My brother had a Ronca Champ back in the 60s, and he and I flew all over the country in this little Ronca Champ. And when we got married, we've always been a very adventuresome pair. And you know, we rode motorcycles together. We did whitewater canoeing together. We've done all these different things together. And so aviation has always been part of my interests. And I took her up and I got her on a flight in an airplane at the local FBO.
One second. Where are y'all from? What?
We live in
city?
We live in Cookson, Oklahoma, which is the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, about 100 miles south of Tulsa, Oklahoma, 35 miles off the Arkansas border. And yeah, I got her interested in the flying by having her take a blue sky introduction flight, and she and I got our pilot's licenses 1 hour apart. It's kind of,
when was that?
1990.
Okay.
1990. So yeah, so about 35 years that we've actually been licensed pilots, and we've had a plane for ever since then, you know, in one way or another. But the certified airplanes, we wanted to be able to do things with it, and you can never do anything, make any changes or anything like that. With the experimentals, it allowed us to do whatever we wanted to the airplane, and we made numerous upgrades to this from the time we finished the plane till now. So it's just little things here and there. I'd rather have this like that or that like that, and so we just change them, you know. We were both in our late 70s, and yeah, it's time. You know, okay. It's kind of one of those deals you hate to admit to it yourself that you're This plane is fun to fly, but you have to stay on top of it, and you can get behind any aircraft when you're flying. And we live on an air park, and we watched a bunch of fellows that were in their 80s. They were all pushing it way too long before they finally hung up the keys, you know, and type thing. And we saw that, and we both said, you know, when we start seeing that we're slipping here a little bit, it's not the big deal, but it's, you know, you're just not on top of your game like you were 10 years ago, type thing. We said, it's time. So she's very upset with the idea that she's got to sell her baby, but it's on the market, you know. Well, we put the UL engine in it. It has every whistle and bell that Dynon makes for avionics on it. I worked in electrical work, wiring, etc. for 35 years, and the wiring is up there where I think that aviation wiring should be done. It's not a rat's nest type of thing. It's just an excellent, well sorted out airplane. It's just a wonderful flying little plane, and it's very definitely got the bugs worked out of it, and type of thing that every experimental needs to have sorted out. And it's just one heck of a nice little airplane, and it's fun. It's like a little English sports car. It's a fun airplane to fly.
This is, as many of you know, a Zenith CH750 Superduty. This was I purchased the kit back in December of 2022. It was an awesome experience. I actually did the rudder workshop in 2022 here right before the Zenith homecoming event, and it kind of hooked me. I had my rudder built, I was ready to go, and then it arrived in December of that year. I built the plane over the course of 2.5 years. I actually flew it for the first time in July of this year, so just over 2 months ago. And since then, I've now put over 70 hours on the airframe. Gotten a lot of love out of it. It's been a blast. And even though a lot of that has been cross-country flying, this is not really a cross-country airplane, but I made it that way, taking it to Oshkosh, back, making some adjustments to the plane, and then taking it here, and then now again back. And I'll be over 80 hours at that point. So yeah, this plane, it's great. So I have a Lycoming IL-390 on the front of the airframe. This engine has never been put on a Zenith, at least a flying Zenith. I know that, I believe there's someone who's trying to put one on right now. So that was very interesting, trying to adjust for a completely new engine that had never been done on this airframe before. The 390 is large. In fact, this is the firewall forward cowling that is provided by Zenith when you purchase their firewall forward packet for the Super Duty. And it is a little small for my engine. I actually had to build standoffs and pull it away from the engine because the engine is so big. It has 215 horsepower. I believe it's 8.9 to 1 compression. I forget the exact compression. But it's a very powerful engine, but it's heavy. I mean, I definitely put a heavier engine on my plane. My airframe, actually, my whole airplane itself is probably one of the heaviest Super Duties at about 1,250 pounds. So that said, I have so much power on this, even loaded up to the max gross, which I set my max gross at 2,000 pounds, because as an experimental builder, you are allowed to do that. I have so much power. I still climb at about 1,700 feet a minute. So it is a rocket ship. That said, obviously that number goes down as we go higher and higher. This is a normally aspirated, non-turbocharged engine. So not having a turbo, it starts to have a little harder time breathing as we get up higher. I live in Utah. The reason I went with this engine was first off, reliability. I knew I could trust it. It's a very proven engine, and B, I knew I needed that extra power up at the high density altitudes. We have property at 7,500 feet. Density altitude constantly reaches 10,000 feet in the summer. So my 215 horse goes to about 130 horse when I am up there. So power makes an airplane when you're flying in Utah. I also have the Hartzell constant speed prop, the Trailblazer 80-inch on here. As Sebastien and others have mentioned, this is a very premium prop. Not a lot of Zenith pilots are putting these props on here, but the reason I went with this propeller, I really like Hartzell. I trust their brand and their props, but this prop honestly transforms this airplane. My performance is pretty ridiculous. I can cruise 108 to 110 miles an hour burning 8.5 gallons, which is pretty, I'm burning a little bit of gas, but I can also go up to 125 miles an hour in a Super Duty, which not a lot of that's faster than a lot of cruisers are going. So it's a very fast plane when it wants to be. I have 2 oil coolers on there right now. I think I'm going to make some adjustments to that and redesign my whole firewall forward cowling system. And I think I could get, between doing carbon fiber cowling, adjustments to the oil system, and changes to the prop, I think I could take about 50 pounds off my nose. The dual G3X touch allows me to have a primary flight display, a moving map, and then the 7-inch screen is my engine monitoring. So I can monitor my engine. It gives me everything I could ever want. In fact, it pretty much eliminates the need for an iPad for me. I have the iPad, I use it for flight planning, I send it to the display, and then I don't really touch it again.